astronauts, it's me, Brandy, and welcome back to Astro-Tarot Research. So today's reading is, what lasting impression do you leave on people? So I've seen a lot of videos about first impressions. I even think I've done some myself, but I kind of figured this would be a little bit different so you can see how people remember you. Do they remember your amazing smile? Do they remember the deep conversations? Do they remember your intelligence? Do you have a funky way of dressing? Let's just get into the lasting impressions that people have in their mind when they think about you. Before we get started, I do want to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell to be notified of any new content that I post. And you can feel free to follow me on Instagram at Astro_Tarot Research. And I do have merch below, and link is in the comment bar description underneath this video somewhere, okay? So let's just jump into these piles. Today we have 6 piles to choose from. We have pile number 1, we have pile number 2, we have pile number 3, we have pile number 4, we have pile number 5, and we have pile number 6. So just sit back, relax, and choose. If you've chosen pile number 1, let's go. We have the North Node, Life's Purpose, the 2 of Swords, the 8 of Swords, the Knight of Cups, Death, the 5 of Swords, and the 8 of Swords again. Okay, so I don't know if you guys are just shy or if you're just a type of person who doesn't always say what's on their mind, but people seem to remember you as a person who doesn't always either speak up for themselves, or they see you as somebody who's just like very shy and reserves and feels a lot of anxiety. Like you feel like you can't properly express yourself. And what I mean by that is you have like this fear of your thoughts being judged. Like if you said something weird, or if you said something just awkward, like people see you as somebody who is just afraid to speak their mind. Like, okay, so that's one thing that's coming up, but it's interesting. I wouldn't take that as a bad thing, because that's universal, but you know, obviously it happens for some people more than not. So more than likely you give off a more quiet impression. And when we have all these swords here, people do see you as somebody who does a lot of thinking. And with this 2 of Swords coming up again about the person being blindfolded, burying their head in the sand, avoiding confrontation, people definitely see you as somebody who's non-confrontational, somebody who likes to, you know, I wouldn't say like completely keep to themselves. It's just more like you just keep your opinions to yourself. Like that's the message that's coming up. You mainly just have your thoughts going on inward. And then another thing with this is sometimes I get this for people who are overly nice. Like they don't stand up for themselves. Like it's like when you have let's say you're in a situation and you have somebody who's interested in you, and this person keeps like pestering you, and instead of saying, hey, I'm not interested, you keep sort of just like beating around the bush and being like, oh, well, you know, I'll talk to you some other time, or, oh, I'm actually busy that weekend, instead of like outright saying it. People see you as somebody who's not very direct with their thoughts and their intentions. And it's not like a bad way. They just think that you're scared to say, you know, what you have to say. With the Death card here, they feel like either you are someone who's very open to change, open to different points of views and perspectives, or it's saying that they feel like over time, their perception of you just like people think about it more, and they feel like there's just another layer that's deeper and more hidden. When we have the Knight of Cups here, they kind of feel like you have this playful nature, very sweet, very cute, very romantic. Maybe you're someone who likes to get caught up in like romantic whirlwinds. Maybe you're very flirtatious. Maybe you have like these very idealistic perceptions of romance, or you're just like very sweet and innocent. It's like childlike when it comes to either friendships or romantic relationships. Or they feel like you have this, like they perceive you to be that way, and they kind of feel like there's another layer there that you aren't showing when it comes to, I guess, your feelings and in general, and anything that would make you feel vulnerable. With the Knight of Cups, the Knight of Cups is a card that doesn't handle vulnerability well. When I've seen the Nine of Cups to represent people, sometimes people can just be like, oh, this person upset me, so I'm not going to like talk to them. You know, they might do silent treatment. Or it's like, oh, this person upset me, so I'm going to act in a manner, I'm going to like, you know, do what they did to me, okay? Like they texted me back 3 hours later, so I'm going to text them back 6 hours later or something like that. So when it comes to the emotions, some people can see you as somebody who's not fully just expressing that vulnerability, which is why they kind of feel like there's another layer to you, because they're like, okay, why is this person sort of acting this way? When we have the Five of Swords, anytime I get a Five of Swords, it does represent conflict, but I don't know if everyone who clicks on this pile is going to be, you know, somebody who's very confrontational. But I mean, this card is definitely non-confrontational. This is more like passive aggressive. So people will see you more as like passive aggressive, or they'll see you as somebody who feels like the victim. Or like, this sounds bad, but it's not really bad. But it's just like saying they see you as somebody who others take advantage of because you don't speak up sometimes. So that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say that like people just see you as a jerk or something like that. It's more like they see that you have the potential to speak your mind, say what's on your mind, but you don't do it because you get in your own way and you have all these thoughts and you're rethinking, should I say this? Should I not say this? Should I do this? Should I not do this? And people can see that struggle within you, especially with the Death card here. Death card is such a transformational energy. But either way, like I said, their perception of you becomes a little bit, changes over time. It goes from a nature that's very like, sharp, focused, intelligent, to something that's very like playful and cute and a little bit goofy, especially with the Knight of Cups. They see you as like more of a romantic. They look back on you and they're just like, yeah, that person really just had their heart on their sleeve. And I guess that's why maybe you came off very shy, because you don't want to be hurt. When we have North Node, life's purpose, one thing I know about people who have this North Node energy to them is they have this hidden nature to them, where they have this one perception in the public and they act a completely different way in their private life. So it's more like they see you maybe in person and maybe you're acting a little bit more reserved, but then they may go to your social media and they're like, oh my gosh, this person is wild. This person is like out of this world. And we have this other perception of you that is so ambitious. North Node is like the ultimate ambitious card, especially when we have Death, which represents Scorpio, and North Node. These energies are like very obsessive. So they may feel like you just have this like one track mind. Like they definitely think that you're goal oriented. If you put your mind to it, you're going to do it. And another thing I notice about people who have like these North Node energies is that you have this ability to, how do I explain this? They have an ability to change, which I guess that's why the Death card came. These cards are really like similar in a way, because the North Node is Rahu. So Rahu puts on disguises and changes their shape, changes their form. Same with Death card, which is like representative Scorpio, as I said. And when lots of people have planets in Scorpio or the 8th house, they have an ability to change their appearance. They have an ability to transform their mindset. They just shed their skin quite often. And it can be it can be tough, but it's definitely a good ability to have. So they see you as somebody who doesn't stay stuck in one place. You're somebody who's constantly evolving, and maybe just in general, you have a lot of different looks. Maybe you have a lot of different personalities. Maybe you have I think it's just going back to them feeling like there's just more layers to you that they can't quite like grasp at. They feel like they need to be in the inner circle in order to see all these layers of you. But one thing they do know for sure is they definitely think you're very, very intelligent. They think that you're very perceptive, and they see you as somebody who's always focused on the future and what changes can be implemented there. If I look at this as like Rahu in Scorpio, it's like saying that you are focusing all of this energy into, I guess, gaining more power over your emotional state or emotional traumas or something like that. Or it could just be like you're using your power to like attract people, because Scorpio energy with North Node is like amplifying that Scorpio energy, which Scorpio energy is very magnetic. So people just can find you a very like mysterious, hard to figure out person. And because of that, it's attracting a lot of people to you, but they feel like they're up against a wall sometimes trying to get to know you, because you're so, like, they feel like a little bit like you're evasive. They're like, I wonder what that person is doing now. So that's what they pretty much think when they think about you. They just can't, they just felt like there's so much going on. Definitely a lot of emotions that can be hard. Like they just see you struggling with so many different emotions. And I think that we have two cards with like blindfolds, and this one has another blindfold. I feel like they see you even when you don't want to be seen, and they can see you sort of just hiding yourself, because you have this Knight of Cups energy, and the Knight of Cups can't hide their emotions very well. They really are just kind of like really out there. So they see you trying to hide how you feel, what you're thinking, and they're just like, it's not working. People can kind of see through you a bit. So that's one thing. I think they think that you're looking for something, a deep connection, a deep intimacy, and you want it badly. Because when we have this North Node in Scorpio, it's like saying there's this deep desire towards connection. And so people see that within you. So they may feel like, oh, maybe this person doesn't make the best friend decisions, or decisions with loved ones, or maybe other people have betrayed them, and they've had all this like these turbulent interactions with people, but they can see that you are in desire of a deep emotional connection, fulfilling connection. So that's what they see. Like, that's the lasting impression that you leave on people. You sound like an amazing person. So if this resonates, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Astro_Tarot Research, and I will see you guys next reading. Au revoir. If you've chosen pile number 2, let's jump into your reading. We have solar eclipse, the 9 of Wands, the Knight of Swords, the 6 of Wands, the 9 of Cups, the 3 of Swords, and the 3 of Wands. Okay, very, very interesting. So first things first, we want to look at what's not here, which is the Pentacles. And when we have a lack of Pentacles, that means people can perceive you to be as not predictable, because Pentacles represent, you know, solid ground, steady as we go, having a practical, reliable schedule, form, you know, etc. like that. So they see you as a little bit of a wild card here, which makes sense when we have the solar eclipse. Whenever I've seen sort of a solar eclipse in a chart and what it does for a person, it can bring like, on a bad way, it can bring like spontaneous like rage or something, like people just like have a lack of empathy. But for most people, what I've seen it do is it creates a lot of frustration, and a heck of a lot of ambition. I mean, wow, like people with this kind of thing in their chart are usually people who will push themselves towards being a boss, being in a managerial position, being in charge, being a leader of some sort, which makes sense if we have the Six of Wands here and the Nine of Wands, and the Three of Wands. All these cards are significant in representing leadership. So they see you as somebody who's a leader, but they also see you as somebody who's very, very spontaneous. Like I said, with that lack of pentacles and all this fire here, you can be really hard to, you know, put your thumb on. Like people can't pin you down, okay? They don't know what to expect from you next. And also when I get a lot of wands, I get people who are very opinionated, and I get people who are very much strong and confident people within themselves. Or if you're not strong and confident, people perceive you to be that way, and they also perceive you to be somebody who is very well accomplished and somebody who's just going places in the future. Like people think that you are unstoppable. On the other side, with this Three of Swords coming up, it's almost like they're saying there's a little bit of a backstory to your, you know, your hero-dom, okay? They see you as like this broken-hearted hero here to save the day and rescue other people. It is very funny how they see you in this perspective. I don't know if you've been through some rough times, hard times. I guess everyone's been through rough times, but in particular, they see you as somebody who, with the solar eclipse, maybe had some issues with authority figures letting you down, or maybe even just males in your life. Or it's possible it could be for females, but since it's the solar eclipse, you know, I'm going to say we're going to go with solar energy, which is usually more masculine energy. So it could just be masculine figures who have let you down, and they see you as somebody who does not trust easily. Anytime we get the Three of Swords, you know, we obviously get some trust issues. With these two threes coming together, it's good because people kind of see you, they relate to you in a way, because threes always represent, you know, a crowd here. So you have people who kind of feel like you are a part of the group, like they see themselves in you. They see aspects of their character in you, and they can see that because of your hurt and heartache, you are focused on pushing yourself for a brighter future. They see you as very, very optimistic. With the Nine of Cups here, they either see you as like a foodie, or they see you as somebody who could possibly just be very idealistic. And the third interpretation would be like you check all the boxes. Like they think that you are like this amazing person, this dream come true. Like you don't seem real in a sense, okay? And with this Knight of Swords energy coming here, man, you guys can either talk a lot, or you're just very, very blunt to the point. It could go either way. It's usually, Knight of Swords for me is usually talking too much or too little. With this interpretation here, it could really go either way with this. I'm going to go with maybe you talk a lot, you speak your mind, and sometimes you say things that people may be like, that's a little off the wall, but you know, you're giving your own perspective. We all say some crazy things, right? So with all of this energy, you really come off like such a fierce, strong person, okay? People really do think that you are a good leader. If you're not a leader, then they just see you as somebody who's just very independent, somebody who's very focused, someone who knows how to have a good time. So I don't know, maybe you like to go out, maybe you're very sociable, because sometimes threes can just represent you being very sociable, especially with this Knight of Swords energy. Knights obviously hang around other knights. They see this like youthful energy to you. And they also see this thirst for knowledge and for growth. And when we have these cards just coming together, it lets me know that people, obviously, I think they think that you're very attractive, because when I get the Six of Wands, I usually get that for somebody being like very attractive looking, or just like hot stuff. I don't know. Like they just think that you generally look good, and they may think that you might get irritated easily. It's possible, but you definitely have that strong, solid belief system, or maybe you have a strong sense of faith. Whatever it is, they just feel like you're just a very active person. They don't feel like you're sluggish. You like to get things done really fast. They see you as somebody who's like, I said it, I did it, it's done. You know what I mean? Like you don't waste any time, okay? When it comes to just like who you, I don't know why the word like hot stuff is coming to me. So I guess people really think you're attractive, but it's just saying that overall you are just a very spirited person. Like you're a very free person. There's so many just things going on here, but we can also look at the lack of pentacles being a lack of being like down to earth, because you know, as people say people are down to earth, it's usually a pentacle card. Somebody's like very laid back, somebody who's just like very humble. They don't really see you as like humble, which is not necessarily bad. They see you as somebody who thinks they're all that and knows they're all that, and you know what, you go. You go, guy or girl. If you think you're the ish, then you are the ish, right? So they think that you are feeling yourself, and they don't really have a problem with it. They just think that, yeah, this person is definitely feeling themselves. It is also possible that maybe you've had some exes, and the Three of Swords is coming up as them like this being like heartbreak for them, and they think of you, and they may think that they're sad, and they may just feel like this sense of like unfinished business in a sense. So it's possible that's another impression that you're leaving on people, that you feel like things are just unfinished. Like people just think of you and like, man, I just had one more thing to say to this person. But they feel like you are like this explorer attitude. You are off to see the world. You have bigger and brighter things. You are somebody who is maybe, I don't know if you're well-traveled or not, but you're definitely somebody who likes to go out and have a good time. And if you don't like to go out, they just think that you like to have a good time wherever it is that you do, whatever it is that you do for fun. People think that they don't think that you're boring in any way sense of the world. They really do find that you are just like an animated character. And it's just really amazing, okay? And also with the Knight of Swords here, I do get this energy for, it's just like, how do I explain that? Just like it's just a talkative, it's like this compadre, like free in the wind energy. So what I mean by that is basically they feel like money may slip through your hands, okay? So with the knights, usually, except for like maybe the Knight of Pentacles, usually money's kind of just comes and goes. It's just like, and the fact that we don't have any pentacles, and pentacles represent money and monetary gains, people may feel that you aren't really interested in money that much, that you're just more of a free spirit, very in touch with, when we have the solar eclipse, it can be somebody very in touch with their spirituality and their spiritual form, especially when we have another 9 here. So they feel like you may be in touch with two nines actually, with a higher power. And it's just a very independent energy, okay? But they just feel like maybe this person doesn't have a lot of money, this person, or maybe you just don't care. They're just like, they don't see you as caring a lot about material things. That's the impression that you guys leave on them. It's pretty much a very, very positive impression in this sense, okay? But that is what I have for you, pile number 2. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. If it doesn't resonate, feel free to choose another pile. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Astro_Tarot Research. And I will see you next reading. Au revoir. If you've chosen pile number 3, let's get started on your reading. We have the South Node, we have Justice, we have the Ace of Swords, We have, which card is this? I think this is the Hermit. 10. Fudge. I can't even do math. 14. This is Temperance. Okay. We have Temperance. Sorry, my brain is like, right now. We have the Ace of Wands. We have the King of Pentacles. And we have the King of Wands. Okay, so interesting. So overall, with the South Node is very interesting because the South Node can bring about somebody who's very in touch with their spirituality. Somebody's like an outcast. Somebody who's that a lot of people will see as very either unusual, eccentric. Like a lot of people I've seen with the South Node are into like, you know, goth culture, you know, things that are like subgenres, like, gosh, what am I thinking? Dungeons and Dragons, like things that would be astrology, tarot, anything that's like not a part of the main culture would be anything represented by South Node, okay? Or not everything, but a lot of things that are away from mainstream culture are South Node. You can even see artists like, I don't know if you guys know Marina and the Diamonds. I think she's has some MAGA placements. I'm trying to think of some other, Amy Winehouse, you know, she brought about like, she mixed hip hop with jazz and then somehow she made that mainstream, but like who's doing that? You know what I mean? So it's like this, they get attached to sort of like things that are either part of the past or a little bit unusual or in this like subgenre area. So, and then they try to make it either mainstream or they don't make it mainstream. Whatever it is, it's just saying that they're doing something that's not many people are doing, okay? Not the mass majority, I should say. Maybe like they're into vampires, okay? I think I gave enough examples. So people see you as somebody who's like a little bit counterculture. Or maybe somebody who's likes a lot of vintage things, or somebody who's a little bit of like an outcast. And a lot of things I get with the South Node too is you get people who are just naturally beautiful, okay? And another thing that happens with this placement is they can be very much either like sometimes it's unaware of the things they say and do, or it's more like they know they can get away with a lot, okay? So like think Donald Trump, I think he has his ascendant in Magha, which is a K2 ruled South Node Nakshatra, and you see the behavior becomes extreme. A lot of people have this, a lot of people in power I've seen have like had a lot of like K2 placements, okay? So it just becomes about like, sometimes it's imposing your will on other people if it's bad. Other times it's just like doing something that's against the crowd. I think Nelson Mandela had some K2 placements as well. So it's like he was standing against, you know, apartheid, so which was like the norm at the time. And he was like, nah, I don't want that, right? So it's like going against the culture. So they see you as somebody who's going against the grain. We have this Temperance card here. Somebody's very balanced, somebody who has a good amount of a steady job or a good amount of savings, or somebody who's just stable with their routine, somebody they can pretty much rely on, being very reliable, somebody who's also going to take care of business. And I don't know, we got two kings, so I don't know if you are the boss of somebody, or if you have your own thing, entrepreneurship going on, or own business, or if you're just somebody who just a lot of people look up to and you give advice to, but they see you as somebody who, you know, that you take care of your responsibilities, you are consistent, you take care of your health, you're somebody who's probably very active. Whenever I get a King of Wands day, that's a day that I know I'm personally very busy, so I know you're probably like a very, very busy schedule, probably have a tight schedule here. When we have the Justice card, people see you as very fair, very balanced. Yeah, like you leave a very like positive impression. People definitely see you as like a chameleon in a sense. Okay, even if you are stable within these areas, they kind of feel like you're a little bit unusual in a way. When we have the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Swords, definitely back to what I was saying, like how you have like this new refreshing burst of energy. They kind of feel like you're always bursting with ideas. You always have something to do, and you always give a different perspective than what people were expecting you to give. Another thing with Justice, sometimes it represents maybe legal troubles. I only mention that because sometimes with K2, you know, because of the lack of maybe even caring for the rules, they can get into trouble. So maybe they think, oh, maybe this person has some legal troubles, or maybe they just think that you're just somebody who is very level-headed and you like things to be true, because the South Node represents truth, and Justice obviously wants to seek the truth. So they maybe, and then we have the Ace of Swords here, which is about filtering out any garbage. So maybe they see you as this beacon of truth, like you don't tolerate any BS. You're like, I'm just coming with the facts. So maybe that comes off a little blunt sometimes, or maybe it comes off like harsh to some people, but for you, you're just like, I'm just telling the truth. I'm just being honest. Okay. So they can see you as somebody being very, very honest in that regard, which is very good. When we have this Temperance energy here, you leaving this impression where people are seeing you as somebody who's either well-traveled or somebody who is able to get along with a good amount of people, or they see you as somebody who is just very open and tolerant of all sorts of people, as well as somebody who has very strong belief systems, because Temperance does relate to the Sagittarius energy and that sense. But mainly when we get Temperance, we get somebody who's very like peaceful, very relaxed, very like hard to, you know, rattle. Okay, so if they see you as somebody's kind of hard to shake and rattle, they definitely see you as somebody who's very, very spontaneous. I don't know if I said that, but they just see you as like, let's go do this, let's do that. Like you have this like childlike sense of wonder to you. And if you don't think so, people see it. They kind of feel like their reactions are just like, oh my God, like that. Like they just feel like you have like these big reactions, that you have always something to do, like you don't waste any time. None of these cards are like, I spend my days sleeping. Okay, with these Ace of Wands, that's a card that like I can't sleep. Okay, and with this another King of Wands, another like Energizer Bunny card, but you utilize your energy and you do it in a way that's productive and it's helping you be successful. So a lot of people look back, a lot of people look back and they see you as just being somebody very, very successful and somebody who's able to handle their own. And they see you as somebody who, it's interesting, but they see you as somebody who maybe has more male friends than female friends, or just more like masculine energy. I don't know if you're feminine, masculine, or whatever you relate to, or more yin and yang, but they see you as more yang energy. So they don't see you as somebody who's going to be a more passive. They see you as more active person, always like going out there and trying to get what you want and take on the world. When we have like, if you're like looking for like a more like romantic, sensual sense, people kind of feel like you are, it's not that they don't think you're attractive. They do think you're attractive 100%, especially if like you're a man. They'll just think you're, or you have a very, if you relate to more masculine energy, then it's definitely saying that you're somebody who people just perceive to be as a very overall attractive person who takes care of themselves in general and has a very unique look to them. But if you're a woman, they see your style of dress to be not as Instagram model. Okay, I don't know how else to say that. They don't see you as being like, you know, Kim Kardashian, Meg Thee Stallion. They don't see like the tight, skinny waist, big boobs, big butt from you. They see a more reserved look. And it's not that it's bad look. It's just like they kind of feel like it's not the norm for women right now. So that's how they perceive it to be, but they do think it looks good on you. It's just they kind of feel like it's, look at how these things are like, all these people, they're just so covered up. Like, it's like, this is the only card that's like not covered up, okay? And so they just see that you are a little bit more, they kind of feel like you're more demure, okay? So that's what I want to say. That's the word I was looking for, okay? But it's an attractive look without a doubt. Whenever I get these cards here, so I can sort of look at this as being Jupiter and Libra. And when I get Jupiter and Libra, I get somebody who has a good amount of knowledge of relationships. So people may come to you for advice, or they may think you just have good advice when it comes to friendships, relationships, or even just business in general. Or they just feel like you have really good decision-making skills. So they look back and they look back and they think, wow, that person gave some really solid advice that I can use in my own relationships with people, or within my own business, or they had some really interesting ideas. That's how they sort of look at you, and they see you as somebody who, you know, really doesn't filter things. Like, they just think that you were honest with them, and it came off very charming. Gosh, that was the word I've been searching for this whole reading. You come off very charming to people. And there's an energy in which they feel like you are very skilled, okay? They feel like you have a lot of capabilities within you. And because we have this South Node here, I kind of feel like maybe they don't even know the half of it. Like, you're just like this amazing person. I don't know if you guys have seen the show like Ugly Betty, and you saw how she was just able to, I think she has either moolah placements, but you see these characters with Rahu and K2 placements, and they're able to sort of just take on things that seem impossible. I think Camilla Harris has is either her moon in Ashwini, and I think she has Rahu in her ascendant, and so she has very strong K2 Rahu placements. And you see how she was able to become the first Indian and Black vice president woman. Like, that's crazy. So it's just like, they feel like you're able to do these things that are, they seem impossible, but you're doing them, okay? So that is what I have for you, pile number 3. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And if this doesn't resonate, feel free to choose another pile. I think I said Camilla Harris. Is it Kamala Harris? I think that might be Kamala. Okay. I gotta end this. See you next time. Au revoir. If you've chosen pile number 4, let's not waste any more time. We have Mercury retrograde, 3 of Cups. Ooh, which card is this? I haven't pulled this before. The Devil card, the 10 of Swords, the Page of Swords, the 6 of Swords, and the Emperor. Wow, you guys are very interesting. Okay, so this is the lasting impression that you are leaving on people. And so what I get from these cards is, well, right off the bat, we have this Devil card energy with the 3 of Cups. So this can be a very flirtatious energy, kind of like almost like, hey, I can take your man, I can take your girl kind of energy next to the 3 of Cups. Because when we get the 3 of Cups, we get that love triangle sort of feel to it. And next to the Devil, it's like saying somebody's being that third party in the relationship. So I don't even know, I'm not necessarily saying, hey, you're that mistress, or I don't know what the male version of mistress is. I guess you just say mistress again, or side dude. But there's this feeling to you that like you could like easily take somebody else's guy or girl. So people have this impression of you that's very, very sexual in a sense, especially next to the Emperor. Well, not next to, but in the same kind of reading as the Emperor. There's this energy to you that's like very in control. And so what I get from this is like being somebody very in control of their sexuality. Okay, so there's always one pile here. With Mercury retrograde, when we have this retrograde energy, it's about rethinking, replanning, redoing. So people think that you're in a constant state of like perfecting things, trying to make sure that you get the right words, the right things to say, maybe even reinventing yourself. I think that might even be on the card. Reinvention, yeah, it is. Mercury retrograde is definitely reinvention, redoing it, reformatting something. So people see you trying to better yourself and your skill or your craft. They see you trying to upgrade, trying to spread your knowledge. However, when we have this Ten of Swords energy, this is a negative Nancy card, okay? So people may think that you have a sort of more pessimistic perspective. Now, this can be either pessimistic, this can be overly dramatic. So you could leave these impressions on people that are just like, wow, really powerful and maybe even sometimes scary. So I'm not even gonna say that that's all of you, but some of you can be very, very intense when people think back and interact with you. However, when we have this Six of Swords energy, this is a card of feeling the blues. So when people go back and think about you being in their life, there is a feeling of being like they miss you a bit, okay? Which we haven't gotten as much with the other piles, but there is this feeling of like, maybe it's because you've been so intense, especially with the Devil card energy and the Ten of Swords here. It's because the energy that you are giving is so intense, and so your words are very, very powerful, okay? I mean, look at this creature. It's been stabbed by 7 swords. It's battling all these people on this card. I don't even know if you can really see it properly from here, but it's kind of scary, isn't it? But like, it's just this very impactful thing. So your words really, it's like cut like knives for people, especially with the Emperor here, representative of like the Aries card. And Aries are known for being very like sharp. And sometimes people say, hey, Aries are kind of mean, but you know, Aries are, you know, they just like to tell it as it is. They're very straightforward. They're not people. Aries is not a sign placement. I'm not going to say all Aries are like this. Aries is not a sign placement that is known for being tactful and delicate. That would be more Libra. It's opposite. What Aries is known for is being true to themselves, being true to who they are, and getting to the point, okay? So you get to the point, but as I was saying before, there is this element of like people feeling like, man, I miss that person, okay? I miss that, that energy in a sense, even if it was like really harsh, okay, and really concerned, but definitely they think that you're very well thought out, okay? Another thing with this Page of Swords, definitely like to keep things thoughtful and very silly, okay? Whenever I get the Page of Swords, I know somebody is talking about a lot of different silly topics, maybe doing some icebreakers like, hey, what's your favorite color? If you were a zoo animal, what animal would you be? Like they say and do things that are just like very silly. Hey, what do you, would you prefer the beach or the mountains? Like you may just be a very inquisitive person. Page of Swords is just a curious mindset that people see to you. Another thing is like, it does say that you like to keep things either light, and then you go to like this place of like, holy crap, where did that come from with this Ten of Swords energy? With the Six of Swords, people may even think you're very somber sometimes, or just have this sense of gloom to you, that you're moving away from a very harsh environment or tragic past, and you're in a place where you're just a total boss, man. Like you are a very incredible person, but you're also a person who loves to have a good time. So Devil card with the 3 of Cups, okay, people see you as like, they can see you a little bit as a party guy or girl, or at least somebody who has a lot of people's numbers, or just a lot of people who are interested in them as well. But they definitely see you as very, very social, okay? Somebody who speaks their mind, is very open to meeting new people. It may not always work out for you. It may come to like these jolt endings. Maybe you just kind of cut people out, or maybe just things don't always work out in your favor and you just gotta separate from people. But definitely, without a doubt, they see you trying to put yourself out there. Sorry for the sniffles, guys. With this Mercury retrograde energy, it does let me know that you may question yourself, okay? You question yourself a lot, and people can see that you question yourself a lot. And even with the Devil card here, maybe they feel like you have some bad habits. With all the Sword energy, maybe you just like swear a lot. With this Ten of Swords energy, it would mean like you may say some things that are just like, oh my gosh, that's not really an appropriate word, which would be like curse words, right? Or saying things that are just like a little bit out of the box. But when we have the 10, it means it's a card of ending, so you're going to a different place. So people see you and they think, oh, that person's definitely going to be in a transformative change, or they're going to change soon, or they're going to be in a different place in their life like after we meet them. And it's going to be, I think there's a sense of curiosity of like where you're going to end up after everything. When it comes to just general, like you have a lot of sex appeal, and not only that, but you are like, this is a super ambitious card, so you're handling a lot of things going on. When we have a lack of pentacles, again, we definitely see you as being, I think another pile had this, as being very unpredictable, hard to pin down. So like I said, that could be changing. I said this last pile, you could change your wardrobe, you could change your look, you could change your makeup, you could change your how you shave your hair, how you dye your hair, what nail color, it doesn't matter, but you have a very changeable nature about you, which could be your appearance or it could be your opinions, which it might be even both with this card, especially since we have so many Sword energy. Another thing is with a lot of Sword energy, we have somebody who thinks a lot and somebody who can come off sometimes cold to people. But I don't think people just think you're just cold and mean and heartless or something like that, else we would have had different cards for it. Maybe some people get that impression that you just easily just like, you know, cut people off, but it definitely becomes a little bit more complex, especially when we have the Emperor here, because they see you moving from the Page of Swords like, hey, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm getting out of these, you know, dark negative thoughts, these things are coming to a head, and I'm trying to get into this Emperor energy where I am the boss of my own world and I create my own abilities. But they definitely see you as a good leader in a sense, but maybe somebody who you might even use. Some people may feel like you use your own power to your advantage. Some people may see that only because we have the Devil and the Emperor here. And when we have that, it can be a misuse of power, but not necessarily so. I just have to give that interpretation because it can be something somebody's thinking out there. But overall, they feel like you are constantly changing and you're growing, and you just come off very human in a sense. Now, I don't think that you, without the Pentacles, as I've said before, another pile that I would say that it's like not a lack of, it could be a lack of resources, but with the Devil card here, the Devil card is connected to Capricorn, and Capricorn is a material house. So I don't know, it's saying that maybe you don't have as much resources as you would like to have a steady lifestyle. Also with the Six of Swords, it is a card of traveling. So I don't know if you've traveled a lot. So maybe people see that you are somebody who wants to see the world or has seen the world. And at the same time, they feel like there's more that you will see. Like there's more kingdoms for you to conquer in a sense. As I said with the Devil card, there is this party animal nature, especially with the Three of Cups. But overall, they see you as like very fun and excitable. And with the Ten of Swords here being at the end, the best thing about that is they feel like even if you have all these like demons or skeletons in your closet or things that are traumas from your past or things that get you suspicious or make you have trust issues and things like that, they see like you're coming out of that place. Okay, that's the good thing about the 10. It's like saying, hey, I'm moving away from that, especially with the Six of Swords here. They see that you're moving away from that, and they kind of think that you're going towards a better place and a better, a more confident place. That's one thing they see you as, is very confident. Another thing is they see you as somebody being very young. And with this, I don't know, a lot of Mercury energy is a lot of like three-way love triangles and stuff like that. So I definitely get this sort of sex appeal to you, or this ability to, I don't know if I want to say manipulate, because manipulate comes off as like a negative word, but you know how to use the tools that have been handed to you. And with the Page of Swords, it may seem like you may come off to people that you may not know as much as you do, especially in the beginning. But then when they get to know you more, or they see you with this Ten of Swords, it's like, dang, you know too much, okay? This is too much energy. You have too many thoughts going on. Like, you have too many anxieties, you have too many fears, you have too much information, which it could be bad, it could be good. What it means is there is a lack of ignorance to you, okay? You think too much, in a sense. So people may see you as being very, very calculated in a way, and trying to control your inner demons, okay? And I can treat this as Mars being in Capricorn as well. And when Mars is in Capricorn, it's in its exaltation point. So you are using your energy to your benefit, and you're using it for a higher purpose. And you do want to bring people together, but I think people, they know that you're human and you have your own fears and anxieties. And when you do open up, it is a very cheerful, sweet thing. But overall, people just see you as like you're the boss. Okay, like they're like, okay, this person needs to be on top. This is like an alpha male, alpha female, if you relate to those words in any way. But that's how people are, their lasting impression of you. Very, very powerful and impression, okay? But definitely sharp mind. You have a sharp mind is the thing that's coming up the most. So that is what I have for you, pile number 4. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. If it doesn't resonate, feel free to choose another pile. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Astro_Tarot Research. And don't forget to check out my merch. It's super cute and I think you'll like it. I'll see you next time. Au revoir. If you've chosen pile number 5, let's get started on your reading. We have the 6th house routine, the Page of Wands, the Knight of Wands, Judgment, the Fool, the Knight of Cups, and Temperance. Okay, so very interesting reading we have. With the 6th house here, let me pull this back up, and it looks like it's kind of dark. Don't know why. There we go. But with the 6th house here routine, so you have a pretty set routine, it seems to people. People kind of feel like maybe you're like the type of person who, you know, I don't know if you still go into work, but if you did go into work, you know, you get your coffee, you sit down at your desk, or, you know, something like that, or you come in, you take your coat off. Like, you have a pretty set routine, which people can kind of remember you by. Like, it's very standard, which is one of the main things that people remember about you, how consistent you are about doing things a certain way. Maybe you come in, maybe you say hi to everyone, maybe you don't say hi to everyone. Either way, it's saying that the thing that people have a lasting memory of you is that you are pretty consistent with, you know, your personality traits and how you express yourself, and you do the same thing every time they sort of like see you. When we have the Fool here I usually get to mean someone who has either traveled, or someone who has a curious mind, or someone who's just very silly. So you could be somebody who's very humorous, and people can see that in you. When we have the 6th house, it relates to Virgos, and a lot of Virgos I know will point out little things that are a little bit off, and that's sort of their sense of humor. They're like, why is that person's, you know, toe sticking out like that from their shoe? Like, they'll point out little things that are just kind of funny and quirky. So maybe they see that about you. The Fool often is associated with Uranus, so there is this sort of quirkiness and innovation quality to you. So you're a little bit different, a little bit offbeat in terms of your character, and people will like that about you because you will come off very friendly, especially when we have this Page of Wand energy here. Page of Wands gets so excitable, enthusiastic. I was doing some research on the page of Wands once, and I was saying, okay, how is this person acting? And they were receiving a gift, and they were jumping up and down, they were like screaming, they were like giggling. It was just like they were super excited and very animated. So you have this sort of animated quality to you, even if maybe you don't think so. Other people see you that way, especially when it's next to the Knight of Wands as well. So they see you just growing into, you know, how to explain this? When they first see you, they see you as this animated character, just energy everywhere, bouncing up and down, very excitable person. And then you kind of turn into this Knight of Wands, which is a little bit more focused in their energy and their efforts. So they do see you as somebody who works hard and takes on responsibilities as well. The more they know you, the more they see that you have other responsibilities. You don't just like to, you know, play around and have fun all the time. You do have a goal in mind, and you will set out to do so as well. And maybe because we have these two cards together, the Page of Wands and the Knight of Wands, it's possible that because knights are seen as like training to pages, so it's possible that you maybe train other people or look after other people, or to some degree it's saying that people will find that maybe you have like a close companion, okay, or close friends, or maybe they're like, oh, I always see them with this person, I always see them with that person, especially since we have another Knight here. So it's like people will know you for the people that you hang out with and the people you associate with. When we have so many like different court cards on the spread here, it's just saying that they relate to you, your memories of you, as being near or next to someone or hanging out with a certain group of people. And this group of people is either very young, or they're either very excitable, they're very friendly, or they just like to have they just like to have a good time here, okay? Knight of Cups likes to, you know, party sometimes. Same with the Knight of Wands. Another thing this relates to is maybe you have a very active dating life, or maybe there's just a lot of people who are interested in you in that way. So people will sort of note that about you and your personality and your character, and when they relate, you know, when they have memories of you. When we have Temperance here, now Temperance can be very unusual, okay? So when we have the Fool and Temperance coming together, and I sort of like read this as being like Uranus and Sagittarius, it was saying that you have some sort of like either radical beliefs, or it goes back to that traveling thing where they feel like you have experienced different cultures, or maybe mentally they feel like you have a different perspective and a point of view from everyone else based off of your life experiences. Temperance is usually known for like trying to keep the peace, so people can also sort of see you as a peacemaker in that sense. Maybe they're like, okay, this person doesn't want a lot of drama, they just wanted to have things, you know, be done with, you know, forgive and forget, which makes sense when we have Judgment here. So they see that about your character. They see that you're a person who doesn't like to hold on to things. You like to move forward and reach a more enlightened state. And when we have Judgment, it also relates to Pluto, and Pluto is just a very, very transformative energy, okay? It is an energy where it's saying, hey, I need you to step into your power, okay? And what I mean by that is having a lot of confidence, a lot of focus, a lot of drive, as well as the ability to not let people sort of like rattle you, your emotions, and shake you around like that. So they see that within you. Another thing when I get with Pluto, there is a strong element of sexuality, and I say that because I've been studying Pluto lately. So I've been looking at people who have different Pluto conjunctions, like Pluto conjunct the Sun, Pluto conjunct the Moon, and what the thing I found is that there is this strong sense of sexuality that sort of radiates from them. They maybe make a lot of sexual jokes, or they just maybe wear a lot of revealing clothing, or maybe they like expose certain areas that may seem taboo, or not as common to do in certain situations. It's just like they do, and they say things that people are like, whoa, this person's really radical with the way they express their sexuality, okay? Another interpretation of this placement is this person, they see you as somebody who could be like a gatekeeper towards secrets. So they may see you as somebody who keeps a lot of secrets, who keeps a lot of hidden aspects to their personality. And another thing I want to mention here with the Fool next to the 6th house is sometimes I get this to represent somebody who has a very interesting sort of diet, a very specific diet, or somebody who's constantly changing diets. So that could be yo-yo dieting. It could be different fluctuations in weight. It could be anything to like, maybe you have a more sporadic workout routine if you have one at all. Maybe like you like to rock, maybe you like to mountain climb, maybe you like to hike or do cardio or something like that. But it usually means something about your health routine is a little bit different than how most people are conducting things, or you have a very out there or different perspective. Maybe you're doing like keto or something like that. It's just like saying something's a little bit off the beaten path. Not the most common thing when you compare it to the mass majority of what people are doing, okay? Another thing I do want to mention is people will remember you for your beliefs, and specifically your beliefs when it comes to relationships, partnerships, and connections. So they see you as somebody who could be somebody to go to towards advice in those areas, or maybe they feel like you have a more balanced love life, or they could even just see you as somebody who's likes to, I don't want to say date around, but maybe like you don't want to date one person at a time. So with Temperance here, there's juggling, not juggling, but they have 2 cups in their hands that they're moving. And so it's like saying that maybe they feel like you are a person who's like, I want to see what this person's like, and then I want to see what that person's like. It's a more progressive point of view when it comes to relationships, as well as when we have Uranus going into you know, Sagittarius energy. Sagittarius definitely has to do with higher education. So maybe they see that you have a education, maybe you like have a master's degree, or maybe you're just somebody who is, how do I explain that? Somebody who is interested in a lot of different unusual subjects, because Uranus will do something, as I said, that's off the beaten path. It sort of acts like Rahu and Ketu in a sense, where it puts somebody in a position where they're doing things a little bit differently, and it can be seen as very innovative and very radical. So the things that you study and the things that you focus on, or the things that you learn about, are things that are, you know, maybe new age, like this video here with this is tarot. It's considered new age. Maybe they see you into palmistry and all that stuff. So they see you into subjects that are very spiritual or new age or things like that. And another thing with Uranus, it's like this genius aura here. So there's something about your thinking and your perspective in reality that's very like enlightening to other people. And it also could mean that they see you around a bunch of people who seem, what's the word? I guess a very bit quirky, or maybe artistic, or maybe like misfits or something like that, or like outcast or something. So they could see you as somebody who surrounds themselves with people who may not be typically, I guess, deemed popular in a way, or I guess, I don't know if normal is the right word, but they see you with people who just don't seem as typical, or have like a very, maybe, like I said, artsy characters and quirky sort of wardrobes and everything like that. When it comes to, I guess, what they remember about your appearance, they just kind of remember you as being very youthful and very cute, maybe even like a naive sort of sweet appearance to you. Another thing with this I get is someone who can be very much into darker elements of like the underground. As I said with Pluto here, Pluto can represent things that are like dangerous, things that are like seedy, things that are like the nightlife. And you can look at Uranus as being like the Fool. You can look at the Fool and Uranus as being like neon lights. So it's like saying they remember you. I don't know if you go out at night, or if you used to before you know, the pandemic and everything, but it's like saying they remember you being a part of certain nightlife scenes, which doesn't even have to be like a club. It could just be like, oh, you went out to restaurants at night. I'm just thinking of like city lights and things like that. So they remember the setting when it comes to being around you. They remember you for being someone who is a little bit mysterious, but I wouldn't say it's like the strongest quality. They don't like overall say, oh, this person's mysterious. That's not the first thing that comes to mind, but there is an element of mystery when it comes to your character, an element of like even a little bit of danger to you. I don't know what that is, but they kind of feel like maybe it's because Uranus can be unpredictable and surprises. So you surprise people with your way of thinking, your thought, and your emotions as well, because the Knight of Cups can have very unpredictable emotions sometimes. So maybe your emotional reactions to things are not what people expect. It's the main feeling that I get is like not the appearance. I think the last pile had a strong focus on the physical, but this one is not as focused on the physical. It's more focused just on your personality, the settings, like how you interact with people is what people are remembering the most about you. As I said, there is this element of sexuality that comes up when we have Pluto included. And I can even read this as maybe being like Pluto in the 6th house, which will be like transforming your, like you take, it would be like transforming your daily habits and your routine. So you're always in a state of moving towards a higher purpose when it comes to, I need to find the best diet. I need to find the best sleeping patterns and sleep at this time. And I need to, you know, regulate my, my eating habits, or, you know, things like that. Like it's 6th house is just like everyday things that you interact with, like, oh, I've got to go do the dishes or chores and stuff like that. So you're always looking to perfect that in a way, or just make it the most convenient for you, or something that's fitting towards your life. And it could also just means that they feel like, even though you're a person who pretty much has a set routine and everything like that, they feel like you are someone who is open and willing to change elements. Maybe you used to be a morning person for like 6 months, and then you're like, okay, well, it's not how my sleep schedule is not working out for me, so I need to change things around. And then all of a sudden you're a night person for like another 6 months. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to say. But for the most part, people do find you pretty consistent. That's just an overall thing that's happening for you. And that is pretty much what I'm getting for you, pile number 5. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments below. If this doesn't resonate, feel free to choose another pile. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Astro_Tarot Research. And I do have merch, so you can check that out in the description bar below. If you've chosen pile number 6, let's get started on your reading. We have the 3rd house. We have the 10 of Pentacles. We have the 9 of Cups. We have the 2 of Swords. We have the 3 of Cups. And we have the King of Swords. And one more card, the 8 of Cups. Okay, so right off the back, they see you as somebody who really enjoys having a good time, eating good food, being around a lot of company. Like they see you as like this total social butterfly, but they also see you as somebody being very, very desirable, and that a lot of people would be attracted to. With the 10 of Pentacles, they see you as somebody who's very successful and somebody who is looking out for their long-term, I guess, stability. So they see you as always thinking about the long-term, the end game here. They see you as somebody having their eyes on the prize. When we have the 3rd house, very communicative, which makes sense with this King of Swords. They see you as like this master communicator, able to use your words and speak in a way that is interesting, as well as get your point across. As well as when we have the Sword energy and it comes to communication, it's saying you're very eloquent with your words, and you know a lot about different subjects. We can't miss that with this 3rd house energy. You know a little bit about, you know, maybe, I don't know, swordsmanship, maybe a little bit more about wine, maybe you know something about painting. It's saying that they think that you are somebody who's very mercurial. So you have a lot of different interests and a lot of knowledge in different areas. And one thing I know about people who have strong mercurial placements is they are very much perfectionists of their craft. Okay, so they think you're a very skillful person and somebody who, I don't want to say naturally talented, but they think that you put in a lot of effort to have the skills and the knowledge that you have. I have also found people who have a lot of mercurial energy to be very good teachers and very good at relaying information to other people, which makes sense because Mercury is the rules the house of communication, the third house, right? So they see you as somebody who is very social in that sense. Most likely they feel like you have this sort of girl guy next door feel to you, only because the third house rules the neighborhood, and so that you feel local to people. You don't seem like some sort of like worldly figure who's traveled and been to 70 different countries. Even if you've done that, this is not the impression that people remember you by. They remember you by the intelligence that you have and the skill set that you have, as well as a way of dealing with people who are unkind to you or rude to you. You have good comebacks to that, or you know when to say when. Okay, you know when to fold, especially when we have this Two of Swords here, which is about like avoiding conflict and avoiding being a part of any sort of drama. So they don't see you in any drama or anything like that. They see you as somebody very open to meeting new people, and they see you as somebody who is maybe for some people a little bit of a player, but I only say that because mercurial energy often deals with third parties, and you know, third house makes sense. And another card with the Three of Cups. So it is saying like there's this energy where either you're like in this sort of love triangle, or maybe there's like a lot of people who are interested in you, or it's saying that you like to date more than one person. Okay, so that's just all that it's saying. Okay, I've known a lot of mercurial people because I've been studying a lot of different nakshatras, like Jesta and Revati and Ashlesha, and one thing I've noticed about them is a lot of them feel, especially like with Jesta, I saw this a lot of them are a lot more comfortable with non-monogamous relationships. So I'm not saying if that's you or not, but you know, if you relate to that at all, it's not surprising to people. So some people can perceive you to be non-monogamous, okay? And that's not necessarily, you know, good or bad. It's just how it is, right? And then we have this Nine of Cups energy. So there is this element. This is definitely the food card. So people will remember you for what you eat and the things that you put in your mouth. So maybe it is that you're a good cook, or maybe it is that they're like, man, this person always brings in the most bomb lunches, or I always see them with this one meal, or they just remember certain things that you eat. I remember when I was studying abroad, I had this one meal I would eat all the time, and people would just know that they're like, I always see you eating that over and over again. So maybe there's something you eat all the time that people are like, man, that person is always eating spaghetti, or that person's always eating, you know, donuts or something like that. So they remember you for some sort of element of food, or maybe you even bring in food or like candy, or maybe you have like a candy bowl at your desk, so people remember you as like, oh, that's the guy or girl with the candy bowl at their desk. So it's just some sort of relation to food that they remember you by. When we have the Ten of Pentacles, I do have to mention family. So part of this is they remember you by your family. I don't know if your family has this sort of reputation, this sort of prestige to them, or maybe they're just very memorable people, but people will definitely remember you by your family members. And I have to specifically say your aunts, uncles, and cousins would be specifically what they remember you by. And obviously they will connect you to your friends and your friend groups and your friend circles. So people remember the people you surround themselves by when they think about you. They also see you as somebody who is very spiritual and somebody who's moving towards a higher state and higher understanding, and somebody who's not afraid to leave something behind that is no longer serving them. And also when I have the Eight of Cups, it just reminds me how it's connected to all the water elements. And when we get the water elements, we get the planets, I think the moon, Jupiter, and Mars that rule the water signs. And specifically, I'm thinking about the moon here because the moon is on the card. And one thing I've noticed, because I've been studying Shravana, and that video will be out soon enough, and it's a moon ruled nakshatra, just in case you don't know what I'm talking about, but it has to do with moving from one area of life and culture and moving into a completely other different culture. It's like this culture shock nakshatra where you are opening your frame of mind and your frame of reference in order to gain more insight into the world around you. So people see you as somebody who is experiencing different cultures or different ethnicities without even going very far. So it makes me think that there's a possibility that you know more than one language, or maybe you're willing to learn more than one language or learn more about a different culture. So maybe people see you watching a lot of different various cultures on YouTube that aren't necessarily relate to you. Maybe they see you as somebody who has a very diverse group of friends. Maybe they see you as somebody who just has a propensity towards combining different different cultures and ethnic foods and stuff like that. Okay, they just see you as somebody who's willing and open-minded in that sense. I do want to say, when we have the Two of Swords, this energy can sometimes be indecisive. So one thing we get when we have somebody who's represented by Two of Swords, it's an energy where people will see this person as not sticking to one thing. They have multiple paths that they want to go on in life and multiple areas that they want to focus on, and that's just who they are. They don't want to say, hey, this is me and I only do this one thing. I'm talking about this subject. I'm talking about that subject. I watched this one YouTuber who is Jesta. He has a son in Jesta, and Jesta is a Mercurial ruled nakshatra, and he will talk about videos on psychology, and then he'll do subjects on certain games, and then he'll talk about things like polyamory, and definitely just switches the subjects and keeps things diverse. And then there's the Q&As and all this stuff. It's just like a very diverse thought process. And I saw another person who also had J-Sub, which I just happened to run across, who was a tarot reader. And then they also talked about ascending and spirituality, but then they also talked about different subjects having to do with, forgiveness. So they kept their channel very diverse in that way. They weren't just specifically just saying, hey, I'm only going to do tarot videos and that's it. They like diversity. So they see you as somebody as being very diverse in what you bring and who you are as a person, which goes back to that mercurial energy that you have surrounding you. Another thing is we have that they see you as somebody who is a bit of a dreamer and somebody who's very unselfish and willing to share the prosperity. You can see this person on the card. They're holding it. It's almost like they're giving this pinnacle to some unknown figure that we don't see, maybe even the child here, but they see you as somebody who is giving in that way. They have a very like regal perspective when it comes to you, which makes sense when we have the King of Swords here. Another thing with the King of Swords is they don't always reveal their cards, even though for the most part they're very, very upfront. If you can read between the lines, then you can read between the lines, but they're always thinking of what they need to do and how they need to go about it, and they want to keep positive relations with people so they don't burn their bridges, which is probably what this Two of Swords energy is saying, hey, I don't really want to cause too much strife, so I'm not trying to burn my bridges, so I'm going to try to navigate conversations in a way where even if I don't agree with someone is saying or how they're acting, I'm not going to just let that be known and be maybe more aggressive. I mean, there's a lack of fire energy here. I do want to say, with a lack of fire, it does seem that you are less aggressive and less forthright and blunt like the fire signs can be, especially when it comes to fire signs naturally want to, I guess, implement and they want to push their, I guess, their beliefs onto people sometimes. I guess that's not the best way to put it, but they feel the need to, trust me, I'm a fire sign, so I'm not like talking trash about fire signs, but they feel the need to let their beliefs be known, okay? To have their individuality shine. That's what fire signs are about. Fire signs are about, this is who I am, which is why Aries' slogan is I am, okay? So with this, they don't see that. They don't see you being very just like individualistic, like saying this is me and this is who I am and I'm not, you know, going to bend, okay? Like that. Because fire signs are about knowing yourself and not in an uncompromising way. They see you as somebody who's very much willing to compromise, is what I'm trying to say. I hope it didn't sound like I was bashing fire signs. Definitely not trying to bash any sign placements. All are good. Another thing though, without fire, it does seem that they may not see you as somebody who's like, let's do this now, let's get up and go, let's be spontaneous. So they don't see you as a super spontaneous person, and they don't see you as a very animated and an energetic person. So that's not necessarily bad. It's just the way that people will perceive you, and they look back on you. They're like, yeah, that they weren't like super like, yay, like, which is like a fire sign energy, or like very physically active can be a fire sign energy, or taking on a huge amount of responsibilities and kind of spreading yourself everywhere is a fire sign like an energy. So they don't see you as that way. You're coming off more laid back to people, and more like a reclining chair, okay? So they just like, okay, we're in a different space now, we're chilling. And fire signs, one thing they do is they just go, okay? They have an idea, they get to it, they start, they don't think about it, they're like, we gotta go. So they don't see that, they don't see this get up and go energy with you, okay? So that's one thing they don't remember you by. They're like, I don't remember them being very like, let's do this now. Like, they don't see you as a spontaneous person. Nothing bad or good about that. Everyone's got great character. Everyone's characteristics are wonderful, right? But that's just what I'm saying when it comes to the fire signs. And because we also have a lack of fire, and fire signs like Aries rules the first house, and that rules your physical body, they don't focus so much on how you appeared physically to them, okay? It's more so the things that you said, and more so how you made them feel, which is a great feeling. They felt like you were a good company, okay? That's what they remember you by. So that is what I have for you, pile number 6. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. If this resonates with you, then thank you. That sounds great. But if it doesn't, feel free to choose another pile. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Astro_Tarot Research. And I will see you next time. Au revoir.